All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of the End of the Day Show. Today we have the man, the myth, the legend back with us once again. He is seriously, we're gonna have to call this the Vampachonis Show. It's gonna become, we're gonna get a La Bamba band on here or something like that. And the man, the Big Chone, is here today with us. Say hi to everybody, Chone.
Hey everybody, thank you for joining us. Thank you so much, Vamp, for having me tonight. Lots of interesting price action. We've basically been watching Bitcoin over the past few weeks, and there's a lot to talk about because we're getting into a very interesting and yet very treacherous area in the price action right now.
Yes, yeah. So it is crazy. So I'm just gonna do a really quick run through of everybody, kind of what we've seen. Just kind of run through my charts real fast. So yesterday, so we're just going to start out with this main chart right here. I've got this 4-hour chart pulled up. You guys see that I had these shorts layered all the way up here. If you guys were on yesterday and you watched, I had a short position that was opened. So I opened my first short position right here. So this is kind of where I opened the first short position. Well, I had this marked right here. I also said, hey, add more shorts once this breaks here, and or you could use this for a long scalp. So you did have a short, long scalp position right there. So, looking at where we are today, now I did have my shorts laddered up higher. Now, I want to warn everybody, this does have the possibility of forming out to be an ABC here, right? So this is, even though it is a lower possibility, and let me tell you what, I have this in the members chat at about 25 to 30% that this happens, and I'm going to tell you why I have it that high. The reason I have it that high is because if you go back and you look at how many times this area, I'm going to pull this back on a larger time frame chart, every single time we get down here, right? We get defended. I mean, they defend the crap out of this area. So we've come down and we've now tested this. Technically, we've tested this the third time. So here's the first time, second time, rocketed off, right? Third time, fourth time. This is now the fifth time we have tested this area. And as everyone knows, the more times you test an area, the weaker and weaker that becomes. And if you all remember, I had a zone that was called the kryptonite zone, right? And that everybody, I still have that labeled on my charts. And where are you at? Are you on this chart? No, of course not. So I still have that labeled on a lot of my charts, and that is 6450. And I use that because of this was the area right here. So we came down. This defended, and then here we defended the 6450 again, 6450 here. Now here, 6450 didn't even come into play as a support level. It's only working right now as a resistance level, okay? So kind of what's a little bit scary here for me is that this line, and I have said this over and over and over again, that this line is heavily defended by the exchanges, by the miners. You start to drop down on here and miners start to get turned off. You just can't make any money mining, right? Now, you really need to get down here. The 5,500 range, I've heard a lot, for miners to really be making money, 5,000. But I actually think some countries, they can get the mining down to like, I don't know, 2,500 to $4,000 area, I've heard. But then remember, you still got to make money, right? You got to pay this investor and that guy and that guy. And by the time you break that piece of pie up, that $1,000 of Bitcoin you're making, if you're pumping that Bitcoin out for $5,000, that by the time you get that and you got to pay your bills and you got your wife and then you got your 2 girlfriends on the side and then you divvy that pie up between your regular children, your illegitimate children, and you end up with very little piece of the pie. So mining does not become as profitable. And I'm telling you, the other issue is the exchanges. And I saw an amazing meme the other day that was absolutely hilarious. It was 2 Bitcoins talking to each other, and he's like, hey, you want to go do something? And the one Bitcoin had a ball and chain tied to his leg, and on that ball and chain was the word fees, right? And people don't, and I'll say this one more time, the people don't understand how much liquidity in the market we lose every single day with trading. and it's millions and millions of dollars every single day that is gone, sucked right out of the market due to trading, right? This is why we're helping you all to be smarter traders, swing traders, right? I want you to become a swing trader because you pay less fees, you make longer trades, right? We're in this to make more money, not to give our money away to exchanges, especially vulturistic exchanges like Coinbase, right? So let's just take a peek here on our 2-day chart. So yesterday we had some some areas that we were pointing out. So this has not, you've still got another 48 hours for this to cross. You got this 10-day and 20-day. And let me tell you what, I use this 10 and 20-day also as a indicator for a short trade. This is going to be a bear cross. You are getting really close to this rolling over on you. You did have this bear cross on the 2-day occur, so you did have this bear cross. Now, I did think that this was going to go up and pokey, give us a little pokey on the 7MA. I thought there was a possibility simply because when you go all the way back over here, you know, you can go all the way. Where is that one? Geez, I got to go way back here. Here it is. There we go. So when you go all the way back up here, you see you got a dump, and then this came right back up, right into the 7. It did touch the 7, but then it just followed the 7 all the way down. This was a great trade. Same thing happened here. Here's your bear cross right here, but this just tanked right out. It took a while for it to touch the 7MA. The next bear cross was right here. Down, came back up, hit the 7, and then came all the way back down. So I did give this the possibility, and this is why I'm still that this could go back up and touch a second time and give this a tickle on the 7. Now, the 7 is moving pretty quickly, and you see where it's at right now. The 7 is in 2 days, this 7 is going to drop considerably, and it's going to come way down here. So this 7 is going to punch way down into it's going to get down here into the price action, or at least down here into these wicks, right? And then, but we'll see what happens here. Now, I did call this wedge yesterday. So we had this wedge, and I was trying to as this thing was forming, I kept moving my lines and adjusting, and it did make a classic rising wedge also with the RSI. It made a rising wedge with the price action, went up. If you guys look at my Twitter and you guys are members of the group, I did say, oh crap, look out, bear candle. So I called this candle literally right before I went to bed. This is where I did pick up my additional short here. I will share that on Twitter. I will post my short up on Twitter. So you guys saw I was at a 50% 3x short trade. What an amazing win. That's a huge win with BTC. Now, I did back out half of that trade at the bottom here, and then it came up, and then I added more shorts on right up here where I said I was going to add my shorts, and now I'm sitting really pretty. I did add a small additional short. I just added a little bit more when we broke the line right here. And now I'm kind of just chilling, right? I'm just chilling like a villain. I do have this line. If this line does get penetrated, I do see 57 as the potential bottom here. The only real signs that I have, and let me bring up this other chart over here. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Yes, here you are. So this was our danger zones right here, okay? So these are our danger zones on the RSI. Look, we are going through this area. So we're passing through this danger zone area. Now, these are some really substantial dumps that have happened all along the way at all of these MACD points. Now, we're slowly creeping up over this. Now, remember, the MACD and the RSI line is not like a price line, okay? It doesn't leave a shadow or a wick behind to tell you, oh, look how far I was, and then I tank back over, right? This thing can get all the way up here and then suck all the way back and roll over on you, All right. So this is something we all have to also be aware of is even the RSI will do the same thing. The RSI will move 10, 15 points. I don't know about that far, but it'll move a substantial amount of range and then suck all the way back in. It is crazy. So you don't get a chance to really see that shadow go up and then pull back. Now, going up a little bit farther, we will be coming into some more resistance zones, rejection zones. See, I see one right here. All right, so there's one right there. But really, my concern that I have right now is that this is bearish division. Right? Look at how far we have run up here. We have run absolutely insanely high. Right? Look at how far. Look at this. All right, let me zoom in here for everybody. Right? So we have run all the way up here, and then I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So if you go from here to there, we've technically, actually, let's go up to where the price line is right now. We've gone from here to all the way up here, and we've only gone up 255 points, right? So we've made a considerable run up with no price action up. And just to give you an idea how detrimental this is, right? Look at these little, like, let me zoom in right here. Look at this little teeny tiny movement right here. See this little sideways movement from here to here? I mean, it doesn't even move, right? There's no motion on this from there to there. But look at the price action here. Look at this price action. And it is right there, right? Almost $1,000 drop with just the teeniest, tiniest of moves. Okay, and now this goes both ways. You know, you can also get the same thing going up as you get going down here. But this, remember, we got to watch out because it's the core. It's getting up here into the guts. Now we are moving back up into the pink areas. And the pink areas are bad. Same thing with this orange. You get up into this orange area, a lot of dumps happen in this orange area. We do not want to get up in this orange area because if we get up into this orange and pink area, and we haven't moved, we're just moving sideways over here, right? We're just bing, 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 doing some sideways action. It's going to be an even uglier fall down, right? And that's shown by, look, here we came all the way up here, right? So the fall from here to here was the fall from here to here. Look at how far this is. Look at the range. So let's do this. We're just going to go over and we're going to throw price range, boom. 2,500 points, right? It's a 2,500 point fall. Now this drop in the MACD matches this. This looks great, right? That's what you'd expect if you fall. This is the kind of line you'd expect if you just fell this far, right? But look, we've gone back up at least a third of this total amount we've gone back up, right? So if we were to recalculate that and say, hey, we've gone up a third, we should be up 1,000 points right now. Let's just call it 800 points right now. Not 255 points. We should be up here with this movement. This tells me we've got to be very, very careful because we are going to be looking at the next potential fallout, right? And that is where I see the issue with the death crosses, okay? Those death crosses are really scary. They're no joke. You guys, you got to be really, really on par when you're watching those death crosses fly in because they mean business, okay? I'm going to go over one more chart, then I'm going to hand this over to the Chone Monster. All right, so here's my other chart that I had pulled up the other day. Very simple. Dead cat bounce, dead cat bounce, dead cat bounce, dead cat bounce, right? Every single time like clockwork, right? Look at me here. Dead cat bounce, dead cat bounce. Now this was a serious dead cat bounce. Like so you had dead cat bounce, bigger dead cat bounce, and then you had 700 million tether and all kinds of other good news and the ETFs and oh my God, this is amazing, right? And then now we came down, tested 6K again, got another dead cat bounce. I have a 70% chance that we're going to lower targets, right? So I think I called this like 2 days ago. I think this is like 2-day old chart, 3-day old chart. So we're going to see if this falls out. It could be longer, but we're going to see if this thing holds here or not. But every time we've had these dead cat bounces. Now, when we get these dead cat bounces, it's only a setup for a continuation. Come down, fall through. Come down, fall through. Come down, fall through. Come down. Now, this is the last chance right here, man. I'm telling you guys, be very, very careful. If this thing comes down one more time, that's it. We're going to be testing some new ugly, ugly lows, okay? All right, I'm going to... Chone, you ready, buddy?
Yeah, that was brilliant.
All right, hold on a second. And got it. Look, we have Chone's chart up. I love it. Good, you're on your chart, buddy.
You guys see it? Are we good?
Yeah, you're good. You got it.
Look at me. There I am. Okay. All right. Hello, everybody. So I got a few Bitcoin charts that I have pre-set up that I wanted to discuss. First of all, that was awesome, Vamp. I agree with everything you just said there, and the biggest thing I want to point out was just kind of how bearish the market feels now, and how I feel that the last few times that I felt that way was a time where we were anticipating and actually had some sort of a nice bounce, and for some reason, this time feels just a little bit different. I think a lot of that has to do, in my opinion, really is just how the market sold off when we had the kind of back-to-back ETF FUD. This was the first one here when the Gemini Winklevosses were denied, and then the Van Eck one, which was somewhere around here, basically brought this next one. So two news event-driven stories are really what caused a lot of this price action here. I guess you can argue that a lot of the run-up of Bitcoin was from the other end of it, the anticipation of those news events. And the classic example of where you buy the news, you buy the rumor, and then you sell the news, you sell the moment that kind of event happens. We saw that with a lot of altcoins where once their main net or their big event basically happened, to kind of ushered a topping in that area for the price action here. So I'm on the 4-hour chart, and I basically want to talk about just August kind of as just a whole here. And we see where most of our money flow has been, very concentrated right around $6,300. We have this, I'm pretty fine with calling this some sort of a channel here, where I do like where we topped off here, our bottom, which is our lowest point here, and kind of how this middle line of resistance, which was support until we broke it, has pretty much held resistance, the price, when we had our little inverse Bart Simpson here. And that's significant to me because we were unable to close above. And when we had our shooting star here, pretty much on this 4-hour candle, almost a gravestone, but just had a little wick on the bottom there. We had this really nasty red candle there on after. My fear is that we keep testing this lower channel here somewhere in this area. It's not going to hold. Now, I basically consider this one test here. Maybe we can just basically call that number 2, pretty much there. So a third test or even a fourth test, I just have less faith in this holding. And that basically does a few things. That kind of negates, let me go to my next chart here, the possibility of, come on, which one is it? No, not that one. This one. Come on, computer.
As long as his Tinder app doesn't pop up, everything's going to be fine.
It's fine. Everything works great until I go live, right? And now my computer's totally frozen. I've gotten one step closer, which is good. I think on this one here.
You have
there we
six
go. Okay.
friend
So
swipes.
we've been watching for this semi and rather small inverse head and shoulders pattern to kind of play out, where we definitely had some sort of a left shoulder here. We had a lower headline, and we have a right shoulder that basically formed earlier today or yesterday when we had our low, and a decent hammer there, if you will. A lot of that was bought up. So we've basically put our shoulders and our head in play. If we take our headline, our head and our neckline, our target is kind of dead on 7,100, which represents exactly where our previous area of price history basically topped off here. So that is kind of interesting, and that would be kind of my bull scenario if we are actually able to kind of get out of this pattern here. Pretty much a failure of our headline, which is right at 6,000, like right on the dot, give or take a few dollars, depending upon which exchange you're on, really negates that. And really kind of anything close to that would probably negate that as well. I just want to bring up, from a reference standpoint here, our previous Head and Shoulders, which brought us this really nice bull move, and kind of a retrospect here to see how much smaller this one is. This one was quite massive and brought in some massive volume behind it. So if this was to play out, I wouldn't expect something similar like this in terms of the volume that came through. I would look for something a lot smaller and potentially a lot less clean in terms of how it rises. It could be kind of a like a waddle up. So that's one scenario I've been watching. And again, a break overhead kind of negates that from playing out. I kind of want to talk a little bit about these fibs here because Vamp, you have said in the past you were kind of expecting this 5,000 to potentially as low as $4,700 area hit if the $5,700 area kind of breaks apart. So kind of what I wanted to just briefly focus on here is one second here. So this is a fib extension basically from this little wave one we had here from $8,500 to $7,800. And if we take a basically a fib extension going down, seeing how far or how long this wave three, if we're going at that, extended based on the length of wave one, we see that we pretty much topped out right at 3,236. So basically a little over 300% of this wave one here. And you can see kind of what's continuously holding our support here and our resistance on our fib lines here. Now, if I bring up, if I bring back, or basically if I do this, which is say, let's just say hypothetically here, if this is wave one and this is wave two and this is wave three, and let's just say we have bottomed here on our wave four, and we've also topped potentially on our wave four, then kind of how long could our wave five be? I did that in reverse. And that will be where that would put us is kind of at an area where I feel this is an extended wave three. So I don't feel that that wave five, I know what I'm doing right here. I don't feel that wave five would be longer than it. So basically what I'm shooting for is some sort of a number that is less than 100% of wave three. And kind of what we get for that is somewhere in this zone here, which would basically be somewhere between a 55% and a 78% retrace or extension, if you will, of what we've seen if this is wave three. And that kind of puts our price somewhere between $5,300 all the way as low as $4,700, $4,800, which basically corresponds to where a break of 5,000 would take us on the low end, or a approach to 5,000 but holding slightly above could take us on the high end if we are calling this a five-wave down structure, you know, ABC. So those are kind of some areas from a bearish standpoint looking at, because you have to ask yourself, how many days in a row can we have, you know, these spinning top candles here play out before we basically agree that the bulls are not going to step in? How many bull bear crosses can the market survive? And there's, just as you pointed out, there's so many more kind of yet to play out or currently playing out that are kind of put downward pressure on the price. Just a couple, one more chart here if I could. Come on, there we go. We did that one. This one here is, there we go. Oh yeah, so this is okay. So this is kind of our, you know, view from 50,000 feet here. So I wanted to kind of bring this up in terms of two contexts here, and I'm just going to hide my MAs here real quickly. So I'm looking at this chart here. I'm looking at basically two areas of support and resistance. Now I'm in log scale here, and what we basically see is up on our upper end here, we're seeing from a parallel standpoint, we're seeing our upper resistance line be pretty firm and be pretty consistent as to where the price basically dies and where the bulls are exhausted and the bears step in. And we've hit that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a little bit of a 6 there time. So I'm pretty comfortable with this being a consistent declining line of resistance. Now, On the down end, I kind of see two things happening here. I'm pretty comfortable with using this as my median line here on the parallel channel because we see a lot of price action reaction to when it actually touches it here. Here, it acted as resistance, acted as strong support. Support test, first one held, second one broke, became resistance again. And when we broke bullish again, we are right now, like today, and in this little cluster, once again have tested it as support, and it is holding. So that's encouraging. And that ranges us in this area here with another bull test. Best case scenario, and if it's in this kind of more or less moderate time frame, could bring us as high as $7,400 to $7,600 again. The issue with that, though, is that the failure of this could bring in two lower lines of support. So my first one here.
So Chone,
yes.
One of the things is just me just getting, an outside person's view of this chart. When I look at this chart, I see if you take your lower trend line, the blue trend line, right, and you follow that from the very beginning over there in December, November, December, right, and then you see February, and then you come over and you tap it on April, then you come over and tap it on July. What I see is the price continually is testing lower and lower and lower. And when I look at this chart, I say that this tells me this is going to come down and test the bottom again before it bounces.
I agree. And so I see this as our first step. And the reason it's our first step there is because we basically have what I would call, a falling wedge here. It's a little more visually appealing on the linear chart, but basically we're still putting in our lower highs, and we're putting in a mixture of higher lows here, but this was a lower high, a lower low from here, and now we're just not sure if we're kind of do that or not. So yes, I agree that this line is our first support, and that would concur with something of a holding 5,000, but getting close to it on our first attempt, maybe 5,300 as we get closer into the end of August there. I'll bring up
that's funny because that's what like my bounce targets too. If you look at my like we both kind of have the same low looking at that chart, right? And I do see a bounce to like 6,500 if that were to bounce. Now that shows, I think that 6,500 plays out a lot better on your other, and it looks like if that did bounce, we did come down and find 5K. On the log chart, it looks like that would bounce back up to like 6,900 maybe. But on the linear, it looks lower.
Yeah, the linear is lower. The log gives more bullish scenario there.
Yeah.
But the thing about the kind of reason I had my parallel here as well is this is kind of like my like worst case scenario here, where
turn away, people. Turn away. Turn away.
Really has to do with this wick here.
Let's try to keep this show PG-13, okay? Let's try to get not R-rated.
So it really has to do with this wick here, which penetrated. Our lower support here, and kind of invalidated, if you will, these supports that came after it. So I agree. So strong support. But what about this guy? What happened here? And this was that moment in the market where fear took over, and you had that cascading waterfall of a bearish example of irrational exuberance, where the market got too bearish and instigated a gorgeous V bottom that brought us a really nice uptrend in that little time period there heading through the rest of February. So I'll lay this on the table here, that a failure to hold our middle channel support would put our lower blue line descending wedge support. If it's in the next few days, it could be 5,300. If it's later on into September, it could be right around 5,000 for sure. And then a nasty fear, blood in the streets wick could potentially be that test of our lower parallel channel. And that's why I want to keep those 4,000, lower 4,000s even break. But that could come much later in the year, corresponding with a real bearish scenario. Either a rejection of this area brings us down hard, or even kind of underneath price action in Bitcoin, something like this here, where it took inverse head and shoulders or some kind of oversold scenario to pop us back up. Seeing another hump above on our middle and using our middle channel here to kind of generate that, I would expect something like this, where we actually have to break our middle channel here to instigate that next bull move higher. And I agree, this is, other than a couple areas here and there which could set up some bull moves, it's very scary having the daily RSI consistently down in this area here. You know, anything under 50 is very scary. We're held in this price cluster here. From a daily standpoint, whenever you break 30K or 30 on the daily RSI, that always seems to be a very good entry point. If you're able to hold tight, you definitely can find a bullish long after that. And we held support there. So we haven't even tested 30. And bringing up your example of the MACD and how it created some sort of a bearish divergence bounce, where it bounced significantly higher than the price actually kind of warranted it to. I see this as a little bit of an RSI reset, kind of setting the table for that next kind of push down here. And until the market feels that this is cheap Bitcoin, that $6,200 Bitcoin is value, considering either where we had been or where we were, and then where we kind of had been to be there, I don't see that holding. And to get back, just the last thing I want to say, to get back to your original point at the beginning of the show about how the miners and how the exchanges are really vehemently trying to defend 6,000. We've tested 5,700 and 5,800 over here a couple times. I can't imagine what the scenario's like, what kind of a cascading panic could potentially be in place if we break our lows of late June and create a situation the market feels, holy crap, we are heading to 5,000 or lower. And all the Bitcoin I've been holding, I'm now prepared to dump. If the exchanges, especially if the miners choose to do that, it could be a perfect storm and potentially a great buying opportunity if it happens too quickly.
Yeah. Wow. Great charts, man. Really good. Could you bring up the weekly chart also and go over the weekly chart with us also? What's your take on the weekly?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we just finished last week, another nasty red week. Let me get back to linear here. There we go. And let me just get rid of these guys. So yeah, listen, really two great green weeks here. Gave it all back. Yeah, a little wick on the bottom there, you know. For this week, we're only 2 days into it. Okay, we've already basically potentially could argue have set the high of the week because we already have our top wick already in place. Bringing up our volume here. Whoops. There we go. You know, back-to-back bear volume. The body of last week's candle was much larger than our wick there, so a lot of this was sold off into, not much of it was bought in between, and we kind of just started this week here, so not much to glean on that. I did want to bring up our Bollinger Bands because these were great in terms of using it for our parabolic move again on the weekly chart to have your BBs and have the price action so high above being so wide on our Bollingers is just epic and just insanely overbought. And once we came back in, you see the price was never able to get through again, being rejected here. Having tested our middle BB as our very first touch, we get a really nice bounce out of that. But breaking it, as you do with major support lines, you always look for that back test. And sure enough, that happened. Now, right here, we created this bull trap, if you will, where we closed above our middle Bollinger line here, but right away the next week it just fell through, and that has been resistance ever since until our most recent move, where again the same thing happened. We broke bullish out of it after first hitting it as resistance, and then sure enough the next week it was a trap. We come back down, and now it's again strong resistance, currently at $7,400. Our lower BB, which was tested here and held as support, could potentially be our next test area. Again, $5,200, another sign pointing to that lower 5,000 zone if we were to break bearish here. We're getting tighter compared to this, but a little more healthy chart would be something a lot tighter like this. So you still see from a volatility standpoint how much tighter the price action really has to get for these BBs to really tighten up. And remember, when they do tighten, it can signal a major price action move is kind of in the wings. I'm looking for these to show a little more direction, if you will, over the next few weeks, because as you see here, this trend has slowed and we're getting a lot more sideways price action and allowing these to tighten. A larger move will basically make these widen again. That's why I wouldn't be surprised if we get some sort of a tighter price action kind of over the next few weeks. And by tighter, I mean it could be still a range of $1,500, but it would be somewhere in this zone. Any bullish touch, we would have the middle BB to contend with, and this will continue to fall if the price action stays lower.
Also, looking at that weekly Bollinger Band, I see that if you look at the pattern that's been playing out, you go up there, you touch the middle line really once, then you find the bottom, and it looks like you had the 100 MA or your purple. What is your purple? What's the purple line?
So my purple is the 50.
Got it. Okay, so it looks like use the 50 as support. So it looks like Gary. So the 100 is what I am looking for as support here.
And just that's like right here. Yeah, and that's right getting close to our lower BB at 49.99.
Yeah, and that Bollinger Band will move too as the price does come down and penetrate it or touch it. That Bollinger Band will adjust itself accordingly.
Yeah, but it will, where this lower one will actually drop. If it happens fast, this upper one will actually rise. And that kind of has to do with the corresponding volatility. Again, would set in a longer period of consolidation. If we go, and just to do a little bit of a lower time frame with our BBs, our daily here is still pretty wide. We see kind of how close they have to get to instigate some sort of a move. These are pretty wide. This is a little tighter. This is a little tighter. This was a little tighter. We're still very wide here. And we see how let me hide my volume for a second. We see how our lower BB was breached, but just for a day, because it doesn't like that. And it was really easy to get back in, wicked out here, but got back in and is currently holding. Again, this is another low support going about $5,600 there. So that could basically signal, if the price got down there, support, basically retesting our low of late June. Our middle BB is at $7,100 and falling. And now this twitch down is bearish, because now this is trying to race down and tighten these up and kind of get this tighter. Because we're so wide here on our daily, I wouldn't be surprised if we got a little bit more sideways to sloping lower price action. That would actually bring this upper BB down quicker and get this tighter to create some sort of a stability. I don't like how low our lower BB is here. You see, once we wicked out on top, major resistance, had 1 day support on our middle before it itself became resistance. And then we did touch here again and then just blasted through. So we're kind of in this ether zone. I don't want to use ether. We're kind of in this zone here, floating around here with our nearest bottom support, lower than our previous low in June, and our next area of resistance, just a hair under 7,000 and falling.
Excellent. Good job. Good job. All right. So we had a couple questions. We're just going to take one of these questions real quick. Wade said, how do miners protect 6K? They stop mining? So one thing you got to understand right now, one thing that the miners can do to defend the areas, they can stop selling their Bitcoin. So a lot of the miners have been, I read an article a while ago, I went to look for it, but a lot of the miners were holding on to bags of Bitcoin because they knew if they dumped it onto the marketplace, they would also drop the price, right? I mean, you can't just go out there and dump 500 to 1,000 Bitcoins on the market, because all that does is that just tanks the price of Bitcoin. So one thing the miners can do to protect that is they could stop dumping. They'll just hold on to their Bitcoin, or they'll just shut off their miners, right? Or the other option is they can just mine another coin, and that's what a lot of them seem to be doing, is they'll just shut off their Bitcoin miners and they'll go mine something else. So that's always another option for the miners.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned earlier, the miners have bills to pay. So it's just a matter of economics at some point. They either need the money and they're going to dump, And I think that's what you're seeing a lot about in the price action in Ethereum now, that is just showing a lot of these ICOs. The only tangible, valuable assets they seem to have on their books right now is their Ethereum, and they need cash. And that's putting a lot of bearishness, on Ethereum, relating to a lot of how the alts are reacting as well.
Yeah, so let's pull up that. Now I'm just gonna want to run through our alts really quick here, and a lot of the targets we've had, a lot of the super important chart. Hold on, let me find it. Give me 1 second. Super important chart. Let me bring this bad boy over here. Here we go. All right. So let's take a look at this chart right here. This is my attempt at Ichi, which I do suck at. I do not deny that I am not a good Ichi guy. But I want to show you this chart. You do have this this channel. We did test it on the low side. So this has been tested on the low side, tested on the high side. Came all the way down, tested on the high side again, tested on the low side, tested it on the high side perfectly, then fell out again. Now, if this does continue to follow through with this, these targets are pretty ugly. So another reason why, another correlation where how I feel we can get to this target. Now, if you go back and you look at recent times, how you've fallen, this has been a much more dramatic fall than usual. Now, when you look at your Bollinger Band, when you look at your Ichi cloud, the price action loves to go through these thin points, where the cloud comes together and twists. You had the twist. This came down here twisted. This is, we talked about this yesterday. I'm going to go ahead and throw this on here. This is a, come on, where are you at? This is a bearish Kumo twist here. So I'm going to bring this up and I'm going to label this. So this is a Kumo twist and this is bearish, right? And, we kind of had, yesterday we had on for the end of the week, we had on Burb. He is kind of the Kumo, he's kind of the Ichi master. And we did get this bearish twist. Now, to me, I look here and this does give me, my top, which has continued to move down here. Which is going to act as this this line right here. I can't remember if this is the Tekken or what line this is, but this is showing me a 6,700. So if you look at this and in our let me bring this up real quick. Where did you go? All right, hold on a second. Give me a second here. Let me bring back up. So if you were in our VIP chat, and yeah, we do a lot. We talk about, okay. So yesterday, just like we talked about, here was what we were looking at for this possible head and shoulders yesterday. So we were all looking at this also in our group. Now, the issue I had with this was you've got to be very careful because this is a tough area to trade, because for me, this is why we drew this line down here, right? We said if this area breaks, the inverse head and shoulders is gone, right? The next target is 5,700. So we're looking to hold this area right here. You see, we did kind of drop out a second time. We got to be careful. If we get a lot of sideways movement, it will show more weakness here. And then this will potentially drop out. Now, I am waiting and I'm watching this area right here. So you do have on the 4 hour, you do have a death cross. There it is. You got a brand new death cross on your 4 hour, right? So we can go over here and we can start to label some of this stuff out. And let's see here. So I want to do this real quick. So let's go over here. So number one, we have a 7 and 30, and this is a death cross. So that is brand new. So we got a 7 and 30 death cross. We have a, see anything else here? No, I'm going to remove that. We're going to jump up to the 6 hour. Let's see what we got in the 6 hour. Let's make sure I have all my MAs on here too. Yep. Okay, just want to make sure everything's on there. I don't see anything. This doesn't help us out. This candle shows me a spinning top candle that just completed on the 6 hour. Started a new candle. Let's look at the 4 hour candle real quick here. Spinning top candle that completed on the 4 hour. So that is this tells me there's a potential reversal coming when I see spinning tops. So you did have the downtrend. It had to bounce. Right, no help on the no help at all on the TD count there. 12 hour. See here, the 12 hour. Look at this. You had this gorgeous. This was actually a bullish setup right here, right? This was actually a bearish setup. I'm sorry. This is a bearish setup. And we did get up, then it finally tanked out. Now, whenever I see a candle like this says, hey, it's going to turn around now or it's going to turn around soon. 12-hour candle did not help us out at all. On the 12-hour, though, we do have this 12-hour death cross. So we do have this completed. So 2 is a 12-hour. That's, what is that? It's the 30 and the 100. And we're just going to call this a bear cross. I don't like to call them death crosses if it's anything other than the 7, the 30, and the 50. So you do have this bear cross that did just happen. All right, we are going to go up to our daily. Daily had that bear cross that happened yesterday, still waiting to play out. No help from any of these candles. Sideways action. If anything, we can start to make out more of a kind of a different pattern on this. You know, we could start to look at this as
it's kind of wants to be a symmetric triangle a little bit.
Kind of wants to be a symmetric triangle. That's right. It's like, when I grow up, I'm gonna be a symmetrical triangle. Right? Kinda. Right. I hate to use this wick because you shouldn't be using the down wick, right? Now this to me looks like an ascending triangle or an ascending wedge, right? Which is bearish. Right? Now bounce back up here. You know, so one thing we're looking at is we're trying to see if this, in fact, here. So here, let's pull this off. Bottom, up, middle of your inverse head and shoulders. So a shoulder, head, back, shoulder, right? And then now it's trying to come back up here. Now this sideways action, to me, what I see when I look at this is just a lot of sideways action here, right? I mean, this is just straight sideways. So I am going to move myself over to something like this now, to where I have this. Now here's your top line, right? But I'll tell you what, if this heads back up in this direction here, right? If this does come back up in this direction right here, I would be looking for this to, you know, to break and test this higher. You know, get just like Chon said, I would look for this to come back up here and test this back up here in the 6,900 range if this doesn't fall out. Now, what I don't like about this is when I look at this, I see this, you know, his daily. The daily is real tough to pull apart. So you had this, look at these two. So you had, this is bearish right here, right? This is bearish. This is a bottom tweezer, right? So this is a tweezer bottom, which is bullish. This came up, flipped to a 1. So that was, it looks like the bullish action just got wiped out. Flipped to a red 1, flipped back to a green 1. This flipping back and forth to me shows weakness from the bulls on what should have been a pretty good bounce. Like, this should have had more momentum to get back up here, just like I was hoping for. You know, this is kind of the area I really wanted to add all my shorts in, because I'm still not fully in the marketplace. I mean, I've got a big chunk of money sitting on the sideline right now because I just couldn't. I just couldn't put it in. I mean, I expected this to get higher here. So with that being said, I want to see if there's nothing. I don't see anything here. Let's go to the 2-day. So we already know what we have on the 2-day. So we have the 2-day, the 10 and the 20. So on the 2-day we have the 2-day, 10 and 20, and that will be in 24 hours, right? And this will be a death cross. So this is a death cross. It's not a bear cross. It is a death cross. Right, 2-day, 3-day. So let's see the candle. No help on the candle here. No help on the TD. You guys know I like to see this turn around on a 6. So you did get this. You did get this reversal on a 6 there. So look, there's the 6, and then this reversed, right? It likes to reverse on these 6s right here. So now this hasn't started a new candle yet, so it hasn't created like a new 1. But the bad news is this hasn't also finished a 9, so the TD count doesn't help us out. Going to the 3-day. All right, we did get a long scalp pull on the on Bitfinex, right? So we got a long scalp on the Beast Indicator. Right now, if you would have played this as a scalp, you would have gone from 6,000 to almost 6,500, where you can clearly see your resistance line right there, my little cheat sheet dotted line, right? Then you got the body. You've got a lot of indicators that show that this would have been a good point. You would have had to watch out for this long trade. But these candles didn't help me out. Like this candle doesn't help me. This is not a very bullish candle to me for a reversal. We're still on a red 5 on the 3-day, and we just had this cross, this bear cross on the 3-day occur, and that is a death cross on the 3-day. There's your support. Your support's down here 5,700, henceforth why I have that as a target right here. So there it is, next target, right? So right here, that's why I have that little arrow going there. Let's go up and take a peek at our weekly. Still the same weekly candle, not helping us out, just like Chon talked about. And your support down here is at 5K. All right. Right. Let's go over. I want to bring up one more chart. And where'd it go? Ah, here it is. So I wanted to go back and just go over this one more time. One thing I wanted to point out was so over on the left side over here, you've got your Stochk, right? Your Stochk RSI. Now, this is skipping. You see how I marked this box? This box is called skipping right here. And take a look at this box as it's skipped, right? This is skipping right here. So you look at the Stochk here, but look at the price action, right? So even though this keeps going higher, you see a dramatic decline in the price action. Here you see these spikes, and they're just getting bigger and bigger, and there's a lot of room to go down here, so we've got to be really careful because this will come down and test the bottom. This likes to come down and test the bottom one more time, right? See, look, here's 1, 2, out. 1, we still haven't tested this bottom again right here, okay? Now, when this came down, look, this came down and tested 2 places exactly the same. 1, 2, right? Exactly the same. And then it rocketed out of it, right? So here it likes to do this. It likes to find 2 exact like bottoms, and then it likes to take off on us, which this clearly hasn't. Then you can go back over here. Look, oh my God, look, it does it again, right? Here's this fall here, bottom, bottom. So it tests again the bottom every time. Look, here you go. See how it tested this numerous times? It wants to test this. It wants to get it's almost like a confirmation of sorts, right? Before it can really take off, right? Here you go. One more time. Bottom, bottom. Okay. So it likes to do this double tap on the bottom before it goes up. That being said, this has not come down and tapped a second time, right? So we have not come down and tapped a second time here. If this did, and when this does, or if this does come down and test this a second time, I then will be interested in looking at opening up a long trade right here to see where this hits. You know, and this would be a long scalp, of course. I'd be looking to open long scalp because I do feel until the ETFs are announced, absolutely not a goddamn thing has changed with crypto. There's nothing has changed at all And until I see something substantial change, I do not believe that we will get or we get just and the key words were that the Chone used is you get a value to the Bitcoin, right? Something that says, wow, this is worth buying. And to me, I I mean, I don't want to say how low I would like to buy Bitcoin, where I would go ahead and pull a lot of my money that I have sitting on the sideline that's just waiting to buy Bitcoin. I don't want to say how low that would be for me or what that price would, but I mean, you can just start throwing out numbers where you personally would feel comfortable buying Bitcoin. And I know for a lot of people that anywhere from 24 to 3,200 bucks is kind of a deal. It's like, wow, that's great, right? And now, so let's go over, because now we're gonna, that was all the good news. So that was the good news. Let's talk. Now it's time for the bad news. Let's talk about the bad news here, okay? Let's take a look at some of our. Let's take a look at some of our alts for a second. John, have you been tracking any alts?
Oh, as soon as you said that, I just happened to look at Litecoin, and oh my God.
All right, we're going to get there in a second, people. Hey, listen, we have 40 likes on this. We have 172 people watching. Come on, people, give us some likes on the video. Give us some love. If you're not following the Chone, get out there, give the Chone man some love. Follow him. He is absolutely amazing on Twitter, putting out some amazing little video snippets. Thank you guys for hitting that like button for us. Thank you. All right, so let's start with the ugliness. So we didn't warn you. I should have. In fact, when I do this, title this video, it will be called The Horror Show. Okay. So this will be called The Horror Show.
If you have heart conditions, you might want to turn away.
Turn away from your screen. All right. So I drew this nice little, really pretty line. This like Chone had. He had his line. I have my line. Let's throw this baby into log. All right. Yeah, it's almost the same. Okay. So anyways, I drew this line out. And here's my targets on ETC. And man, I mean, honestly, here's what I'm going to do. I don't even know how to look at this line, because this is probably the longest red line you'll ever see. Let's just go see. I mean, was it 3-day? I just want to see how long this red line is. No, it's not as bad as the others. This is way worse. So this isn't that bad. I mean, this fall was bad, right? This fall was bad. This was that February fall. This isn't that bad. I mean, in relatively looking at everything, I mean, this is not that bad on ETC, right? This fall,
it's
right?
Exaggerated here, because of the rise and the Coinbase. So it was. Yes. That nasty shooting star on the daily kind of made this all kind of worse, and we're only on a red 7 too. So
yeah, so on our 3-day, we have a brand new bear cross. We're about to get a bear cross again. We had a death cross. We just had a bear cross. We're looking at 2 more bear crosses that are possible. You see the 100-day held the top there on the Coinbase news. This thing is falling out. It's funny. I actually had a discussion with somebody on my Twitter page. It was, he's like, oh, every time a coin gets listed, it moons. And I'm all, yes, that was pre-June. That was pre-May, right? Yeah, and I think if all of you guys go back and you look, and especially for me, I was there, at the end of January. And even when coins, and I remember when coins were getting listed still on Binance, and it was like, oh my God, any coin that got listed on Binance, you were like sleepless until that thing got launched, and you were like right there buying it up because you knew it was going to moon, and then you were going to dump it and just take some nice profit off it every single time. And I feel that now people have a short-term memory that. Or they have short-term memory loss, because they've forgotten that over the last couple months that they only remember the things that happened 3 months ago. They don't remember what's been happening over the last couple months. Pretty much any time a coin gets listed right now, it has been a travesty, right? It has been it's 50, and I want to say it's more like 70-30 blood to unicorns and rainbows, right? Would you say that's about right? About 70% of the coins that get listed don't do that well. Not like they did, of course.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is an example of where timing is everything. And we saw it in the housing market where there was a peak, there was a moment where you really wanted to be in because you can make really all your money. And if you miss that boat, it was just all over because the timing was wrong. So now you have a situation where coins are ICOing and being brought to marketplace, and all our early investors are like, all right, I want my money now. And we're not seeing, as you said, we did see that, especially with a bunch of Binance coins in like what, March, April, lots of examples of, oh, why did this coin pop? Well, it was a listing on Binance, or even a couple other exchanges. We saw something similar. Bringing up the Ethereum classic example, and this is a classic example of basically playing the news event. And then literally the top was literally when Coinbase started to accept Ethereum Classic transfers into your Coinbase wallet if you had one. So that began the sell the news situation. We saw it with Tron when they made that launch. We saw it with Verge when their big Pornhub news was announced. It was the run up, it was the price run up. And then as soon as the actual thing happened, everybody knew what it was. Everybody got out. We never got back anywhere close to those peaks again. It's almost like, Ethereum Classic. I said it was funny. It's like, oh, it was the cheapest one now on Coinbase. Litecoin for forever, was the cheapest guy. But now, damn, I mean, it's this whole new paradigm here where we have a Litecoin around $50 again, which is just amazing to me how fast we fell that quickly. And now the new kid on the block, Ethereum Classic, what IPO'd I think on Coinbase when it was like 1550, and so we're already down almost 30% on just the Coinbase. So if you had bought the day it was listed on Coinbase, down close to 30% in what, a week and a half. So this is what the market is telling us right now. Bitcoin is very beaten up, and it sucked up any of the money that's flown out of the alts, and now we're just seeing the beginning of this fire sale where, and I put this tweet out, where if you think you're going to be adding alts because you feel there's a value based on where they had been, how high they actually got, think about that again. If Bitcoin is priced at 5,000, if Ethereum is priced at $150, I don't care what the bullish divergence says in the chart. If the USD is cut in half, it's still a bad investment. So these are moments where you got to pick your battles. There'll be pops, there'll be oversold bounces. Play them smart, take profit. But Bitcoin still runs the show.
Yeah, yeah, and taking a look here, here, look, we have come down, and this is kind of the last area of where we're coming down here of support. Right, so here is your last support. Now I gotta say, if you break this wedge, if you break this support, and it's actually trying to do it live. It's trying to break my support live while we're actually talking about it. If this does break my support, you do have a lot of support down here at $9.90. Right, you have a lot of support at $9.90 right here for this to possibly hold and or give you some kind of bounce. Now, I don't think so. I think that this, let's see what happens. It came down and just look at, we're on my line. Look at that, bounced right off my line. Perfect, right? Absolutely perfect. Bounced right on my line right there. So, you just can't ask for anything better than this kind of magical TA, right? These lines are just amazing. And if you know how to put the lines in the right places, you can make a lot of great trades happen. And this just shows you how these lines, how the price action reacts to the lines that we draw. And there's a reason we put these lines here, because they work, right? So now this, if it gets tested a couple times, will not hold here. Now look, tested, reverse, tested. It's been tested one, two, three, four. This is now the fifth time this area is tested right here. Okay, if this does break, you know, I'm looking for this to end up down to 9.9. Now, if this does hold, that's good news, right? This is good news because you do have a good possibility to get a really nice bounce out of this if this does hold. Now, I have to move my resistance levels down here because we've fallen so far. So my next resistance is actually scooting down. We can go through here and we can take a look at ETC real quick. I know a lot of people, and I know that it is going to hit the Coinbase here, whenever it does hit Coinbase.
It's on. It's on.
Oh, it is on. It's on Coinbase Pro, right? It's not on the app yet. I think it's just on Coinbase Pro.
Correct. You have to have Coinbase Pro or the old GDAX
yes.
to trade it.
Yeah. So like yesterday, here was my list. I had nothing bullish about this. The daily 30 confirmed. So let's take a look at the 1 day. The 1 day is an absolute mess. The 1 day is just a disaster. I had this. These are all bad things. Oh, you did have this spinning top right here, which is a neutral candle. Now, this could have held, but didn't. You're down on a 7 on the daily. This is the issue. You just have this cluster of MAs, and they're just all rolling over on each other right here. It's all ugly. There was no support until you got down. The real heavy support, I feel, still down here at $9.90 some cents, $10. And this is a good support. Now, getting below this, right? Getting below this, there's that death cross mess right there. Getting below this list. All right, so 2 day, let's see what we had on a 2 day. This is still got to put, there it is. So this is a death cross in 2 days right there, right? I'm sorry, it's in 24 hours. So we do have a death cross in 24 hours. And I'm going to save this because I like to keep all these charts. And there we go. Sorry guys. I know it slows the show down, but I do it for all the members. And let's call this one 33 ETC. All right. So that being said, you know, one of the things we have to do is we have to look at this death cross that's still coming. Look, there's a death cross right here that is happening on the 2 day. Look, you have a double whammy of death crosses. So you have this bear cross and you're going to get a death cross all at the same damn time on the 2 day chart. I think that is like unprecedented. So I would be really, really cautious here looking at this, and I would actually go over here and start to really consider if this thing falls out of the sky to get down to something a little more like
$7.
I mean, I would say that's probably a little on the high side even. I would say,
because if you see that last price cluster of price is around $6.40 to
$6.
Yeah, somewhere between $6.10 to $6 to $7 right there.
Yeah, so
There's some decent history there.
Yeah, so I would look for this. If this breaks this wedge, that this is the area we'll come down and possibly find some consolidation with. Now, I'm going to warn everybody, okay? This is with Bitcoin at $6,200, okay? Imagine Bitcoin at $5,000.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Bitcoin at $5,000. I don't, you know, you're there you go. This is Bitcoin, $5,000. This is Bitcoin. And I'm gonna label this. This is Bitcoin BTC 4,200 to 4,900. Right? That's where I think that if Bitcoin gets down to this level, I think this is possibly where this could end up here. Okay? And this would be like Bitcoin 5,200. So here's BTC 4,900, 5,200, right? Let's call it 5,200 to 5,700. right up here in this range.
I'll just say real quickly that the 2017 start of the year,
Oh,
roughly.
okay, they can see your
Uh,
screen. Go ahead. We can see your screen, buddy. Go ahead.
oh, okay. So I just did a quick fib, just basically starting from $1. Looks like the low was roughly around 62. Actually, why not? Let's get down to the really nitty gritty here. And just to show a 78% retrace from our nut high on the USD around $47. Puts the price right around $10.50, or about 50 cents less than we currently are right now. Does correspond with this previous price action here, also around $10. So as Bam said, there is support in this area. A break of that, and the reason I have the 88 here is I've noticed 80% retracements seem to be areas where some alts I followed have bounced. So I've kind of added it to my fib here to see where that happens to fall. And that also happens to fall, interestingly enough, in that area of price history where we called out around the $6 range. And then from there, our next kind of area of price history, as Bam puts that kind of nasty, 4,200 to 4,700 Bitcoin potential, would put this right around $3 to a hair under it there. So the fibs kind of lay out a similar scenario where if Bitcoin was to fall at those levels, the price action now, the next step, and the next step. And remember, this was 70 cents. Like a year and a half ago. So it went from 70 cents to $46. Major parabolic move there. This is unwinding. This is what charts do when they go parabolic. They go all the way back, and normally they go back to almost where they started from.
Got it. Well, I'm trying to actually, I'm doing your same fib right now. I'm trying to match up that lower fib line. I have to set that later. All right. So I just added the same thing. I just added the same fib line over there. So I just pulled my fib line. I put it down there. And yeah, perfect. Wow, that lines up really well, actually.
Yeah, it's interesting. And what's kind of unfortunate is we've seen other alts fail to hold at 78.6. Initially, that they actually were able to, and it just kind of became like a pit stop on the way down further. And it's too bad too, because Ethereum Classic, it's funny. I think the main reason why it was the first one added to Coinbase, or the newest, I should say, is because of what the SEC said about Ethereum, more or less saying it's not a security. They felt that they were pretty safe with Ethereum Classic. I'm doubtful with the other Coinbase Pro 5, the Lumens, the ADAs, the ZRXs, the Z Cashes, and the basic attention tokens, because we see what happens when they either get rejected or stall out. And right now, all of them are pretty much taking a bath. Really bad, actually. Damn, I mean, some of these prices here seem values. They seem like good values on the last little touch here. And now, what's almost scary is Bitcoin's still hovering around $6,200, and the alts are accelerating their bearish decline.
All right, yeah, let's go over. We're going to take a look at. Do you want to run? Why don't you do Litecoin?
Sure.
Do Litecoin. Go for it.
So, I just want to bring up something personal here. I actually remember buying Litecoin originally, or one of my larger purchases was around $50. So it's kind of cathartic that we are once again back here. I don't know what this was.
Okay, hold. Let me share my chart, because I got this. I swear to God, I got this from you. I swear this was your line I got this from.
Was it the other side line?
No, this long trend line. I swear I got this big trend line from you. I swear this is your trend line. Yours looks different on your chart, though. Are you in log or linear? You're in
linear.
Linear. Okay, so
the log, the back test. Yeah, the log
I swear to God, I got this from you. So if you take a look and you pull this down, and you zoom in, this thing is just money. Right, so I had there was my resistance. So I had the 7MA was there as resistance, and I was always looking for this to come down and target. Yeah, $52. Go ahead. Sorry, man. I thought I got that from you, but go ahead. All right, it's all you.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're in linear, it's kind of this back test line of our bull break, or at least our resistance we had at $251. We broke bullish at 170, and then we kind of broke bullish again at it at 83, and we're now back testing and kind of riding it down here. I just want to take if you look to where, and this is really, I mean, you have to keep this into perspective here. Like a year and a half ago, 18 months ago, Litecoin was like $5. And for a long time, Litecoin was under $5. So go from $4 or $5 to what took like 12 months here, about 10 months, let's say, to go from $12 or from $5 to $420 from the peak up here, or 370 or close to 400, is insane. And this, unfortunately, all this major price action from 140 even more up is kind of meaningless, and we can kind of see that here on our BPVR, where we see where most of our money in the history of Litecoin is. Now we're right in this area here from 63 all the way down to about $48, which represents this very long cluster of price history. We were from July of 17, basically all the way till November of 17. We were pretty much caked in this $50 range, with a few times we went higher and a few times we went lower. This purple shows where all the money is, and then under that it shows where a lot more of the money is, which is under $10. So a lot of this history, unfortunately, is meaningless in terms of finding support of Litecoin. And now the history is basically getting rewritten again in areas of previous price support. Now the bullish divergence of Litecoin to Bitcoin is gone. It's continuously doing its more bearish moves here. And I think the weekly, I remember this from one of our previous shows, we were looking at kind of our weekly RSI here and really seeing about how low it can go. And only one time in Litecoin's history did the weekly RSI break 30, which appeared to be a very good buying opportunity there. And you see we're only at 33 here. So we still potentially have ways to go before Litecoin can really be oversold on a high time frame like the weekly chart, because the daily chart, it's showing once again we've been down in this area, and we're really down there 22. Damn. But do we have history where we've actually been lower? And the answer is yes. We've been as low as 12 and 11. Okay, so this is oversold, but we know what oversold really looks like. Wow. And where we could really go. And right now, if you want to use where, as you use your charts, the bubble charts here, why are we stopping here? What kind of support is here? We do have a little bit of history here, but that's kind of it until we get, down to 20. So there's a lot of precedent for a very bearish Litecoin testing these areas here. And we have a couple areas here where we see some sort of V bottom, and we have an area here where we see some sort of W bottom here. So just because we touch super low on the RSI does not necessarily mean the actual USD price of Litecoin has bottomed.
Damn, that's ugly. All right.
So, yeah, it's pretty bad. And just how quickly we fell. 3 weeks ago, we were over 100, or at least, a month ago, we were over 100. 2 weeks ago, we were over 75. So how quickly this fell is just pretty brutal. And I'll just touch on one quick more thing in Litecoin. That's the LTC BTC pairing here. And you see we're in an area here where historically that actually is, from a ratio standpoint, been pretty clear support, which could suggest that if Bitcoin were to drop lower, the bearish divergence to Bitcoin may be waning in terms of Litecoin. But we do see how low we can be, which is basically 0.05% of the price of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin at 6,000 could be a Litecoin at $30, or Bitcoin at 5,000 could be a Litecoin at $25 if we were down to this ratio.
All right. Excellent job. Wow. Okay. So one thing I want to do show people really quick is if you're looking over here, you do follow the TD. This thing has just continued to bleed out. I mean, it's just nonstop bleeding. And I'm looking back in history, and it has not done this before. If you zoom in here, I mean, this thing is. So here was our red 9. We're now, from our red 9 to here, we're $25 down, which is a substantial amount. And I'm pretty sure that's, probably like probably 30% down just from this red 9 we had. One thing I wrote, I'm damn bounce somewhere. Holy cow. So, looking at this is going to have to find some kind of a bounce. All right, we're going to move along. I know a lot of people are excited for me too. Holy Jesus, Lord. All right, so there's Ethereum. I suck. I tried, man. I was trying for Ethereum. I was hoping we would get a little bit of a bounce up here. Wow. Vamp fail. I had some hopeism for Ethereum giving me a little bit of bounce. Jesus. 206. So I have some low targets for Ethereum. I have 247. So the bad news is that there is my low target right there at 195 bucks. Now we are on a red 9, which if you go back over to Litecoin, you'll see how well the red 9 worked for Litecoin. So this is on our, look at this. This is the same. This is our daily chart on Ethereum. And this is a continuation of a red 9 for $125. Damn.
Does that say how overbought it was and now it's correcting, or is this the exacerbation of the ICOs just liquidating?
So
their only asset they have left.
Yeah, so we had so just one of the other days, we do get some inside information on the show as influencers, and that's one of the great things. We get a lot of messages. We get a lot of people that give us some inside information. One of them was that there was this particular ICO out there that had sold. They did their ICO and they raised a very, very substantial tens of millions of dollars was raised during their ICO period. They took it all in ETH. And I believe the number was 30 million. It was $30 million they had raised. So they basically just sold all of their ETH for $4 million. So they had raised 30 million worth of ETH at the time. That 30 million Ethereum was only worth $4 million. So to put this in perspective, right? You've got an ICO that launches, okay, raises 30 million. They hold on to that Ethereum. I'm sure they've spent some, R&D paying people, buying Lamborghinis, because they printed free money, that kind of stuff. But they raised 30 million bucks. They sold all their final Ethereum that they had. They sold it all and they only got $4 million, okay? So let's look at it like this. How long do you think that ICO is going to last? Right? They're just, you've got probably 5, 6, 7 guys, some developers. Everybody wants to get paid. And, you got some guys right now that are probably looking at each other going, the Caymans aren't that bad. How long can I live out there for, how long do you think I can live in the Caymans for $1 million? These guys had $30 million not 4 or 5 months ago, 6 months ago. And now they have $4 million left, and that $4 million will run pretty quickly. And the people who bought that ICO are going to be in a world of hurt because that project will never see the light of day probably. And or if they do launch that, if they do make it all the way to the light of day, they are going to be in a lot of problems. So... I just want people to be fully aware that how dangerous, and I have got a funny, hold on a second, I got to bring this up. I got to find this, hold on a second. Oh my God, here it is. Okay. All right, give me 1 second. Let me save this thing. I have got, seriously, I am just going to share this because this seems like the perfect moment to share something like this. And where'd it go? All right, here we go. So I have to share this meme. There you
Oh
go.
boy. Yeah.
So here you go with your 30 million bucks, right? Your 30 million this is your $4 million horse pony drawing right there. I mean, this thing is just classic right here. I swear to God, this cracks me the F up when I look at this thing. This just says, oh God, I'm sorry I had to put that up there. So looking at, I mean, I don't even know what to draw on my chart here. I really don't. I don't even know what to put. When it gets to this and you're looking at such a prominent coin in the marketplace, I mean, this is our number 2 major in the entire marketplace. And this thing is just completely tanked out here. Where do you go? Where do you go? You know, when you're looking at this thing, we've had no real death crosses here. So there's our daily. Let's pull up our 2-day. I mean, even technically, I would have not. Even technically looking at this, if you were just an average TA guy, and you would have looked at this, you would have looked at that 9, and you would have said, "Oh no, this thing is bouncing.
Mhm.
This thing is going to turn around." But there is just nothing here. I mean, I can't even hunt down and say, "Oh, well, you know what? Maybe it's because of this. Maybe it's because of that." You know, I have to say my targets that I had for Litecoin and for Ethereum were just purely on my own, just my own. I don't know why, because there's no technical reason for me to look at this and go, oh, this candle or that candle or
Mhm.
this reason or that reason or this cross or that cross. I just felt that this was coming, and when we look at this, I still feel, and I wish I could say right now that Ethereum was leading the way or Litecoin was leading the way. I actually feel that Litecoin is kind of leading the way for Bitcoin still. Even though Bitcoin is lagging behind, I think Litecoin, Bitcoin still has a lot stronger than the other coins. But man, I'll tell you what. Hold on a second. I'm going to hand this over to some more technical analysis from. All right, go for it, buddy. Let's take a look at your chart.
Sure. Well, it just a thought came into my head with Litecoin. I'll just say that real quickly, and then I'll do Ethereum, which I have up right here. Um, I've been picturing Litecoin the past week while it was in the 50s as what if it was Bitcoin. So once it broke $60, it went down to $55 real quickly. And then over a couple of days, it bounced back to just $60. And then we just saw the very firm rejection at $60. Now it's down to $52. So what if that's a foreteller of what could happen with Bitcoin? A break of 6K brings us to 5,500, a quick bounce back to 6K to test rejection, and then 6K brings us down to 5,200, kind of where Litecoin is now. So I'm going to keep an eye on that and see if Litecoin is almost a foreshadowing of what Bitcoin can do if 6K is unable to hold. Now, to get to Ethereum, there's 2 things I want to spot out, really 3 here. One is this is our daily. Again, another example, just like Litecoin, you could buy Ethereum for $20, $18. The same day you could buy Litecoin for $5. And then in a very quick amount of time, it went from $20, to $400, back down to, 150. And then we know where it topped off around $1,400. Most of the money is in this first $63 of Ethereum. By far most of the money. A lot of this area from basically 85 to 185 was quick and not much money flow. I remember very clearly we were stuck from June all the way to November in roughly the $300 range. It seemed like forever. Ethereum was just doing nothing, but it was always in the $300 range. And then it started its thing here. So we have a lot of consolidation in this range where we're currently at here. Now, I pulled a fib similar to Bitcoin's pullback of where it kind of, topped out where it did. It's wave 1 down pullback and then 3. So basically what I'm trying to do here is analyze how far extended, if this is wave 3, is to this wave 1 down here when we topped off at 517 and bottomed at 443. And you brought up earlier, Vamp, that the 242 to 247 region was something that you were kind of keeping an eye on as a potential bounce area. And remember, Bitcoin's wave 3 ended right at the 3232 or 2236, which was right at $6,100. So, and then it's been kind of hovering in that area for the past several days here. So I'll be curious to see if Ethereum also is able to find support at the exact same fib extension of their long extended wave 3, put some sort of a support area in 240s where it tries to rally, similar to what Bitcoin's doing now. And then whatever Bitcoin does, if Bitcoin's rally fails and it breaks 6K, then we'll know that that was basically a wave 4 of Bitcoin and then Ethereum, and then we go lower from there. So I'm very curious to see if this 250 region, let's just say, corresponds to where you were also looking for support, and so am I. Last thing I want to say is the daily RSI, unprecedented. We are back to our April low, okay, right there. Once again, this is an area where you'd expect to retest a previous area of support for the first time on a major indicator on a high time frame. So we have all these things lining up, and we are right there again. So you would assume we're getting close to some support area on the RSI. But remember, the low of the RSI does not necessarily mark the low of the price. We could find some sort of a bounce that could bring our RSI a little bit higher, and then the price could still go lower before we actually retest this 16 here. I just want to look really quickly what the weekly looks like, because I bet you we're getting closer again to 31 was our nut low, and we're right at 34.
Also do me a favor, pull up your fib. I just pulled up a fib on that puppy. Pull up a fib on that for the entire movement. Look, and you'll see how far down we are, lower than the 786. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's check it out. So basically starting from more or less where we started there, go all the way to the top here. And we basically found a little support there, right? This is the weekly. So we had days right around 314. And if you were wondering why Ethereum was hovering around 310 to 325 for so long, the 786 corresponding with this previous price support kind of tells that story. Bam, you're right. We just broke it. I'm curious to see that our 88 here is at $182, which also corresponds with some interesting price action here. But this movement of Ethereum had a pullback like here, and then another pullback here, and then we finally shot up here. So the fact that 350 was unable to hold as support puts all this in play. And it really does. It's hard to imagine how we can be from $1,400 back down to under $100. The market is setting this valuation now, and Ethereum, I also kind of feel is.
But check your line. I have Ethereum a little lower here.
Where are you starting? What price?
Here, I'll share my screen with you.
Maybe that could be a little high here.
Yeah.
Or what exchange are you on, actually?
I'm on. What am I? Dude, don't judge me. I'm freaking Binance. Never mind. Cancel that. Never mind.
I've noticed that, especially if you go farther back. There's
actually. All right. Where's your 786 at?
310 about. I'd say around $300. Around $300.
300. Yeah, 310.55. I just want to match mine up. All right, there we go.
55's at 644, yeah.
Yep, got it. All right. Okay, now I'm right.
So, yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with that. And remember, Bitcoin has not hit at 786, so is this a precursor of what Bitcoin could do, where it basically touches its 786, which is around $4,700, finds interim support there because it is a major fib level, and I'll just pull it up right here. And then fails to hold, which we just saw happen to Ethereum. Bitcoin 786 is right around $4,700. If you basically start somewhere around a little under $1,000 and bring us all the way up to our 20K big. So Ethereum is well past our 786. Bitcoin is not even close yet. We literally have over $1,000 till that happens. And I didn't do one on Litecoin, but Let's just go for it here because I bet you this is similar to Ethereum having broken the 786. Yeah. Oh, look at that. And interesting. Our 88, our 88 is a hair under $50. That's interesting too. So a lot of signs are still pointing to around $50, give or take a few bucks. Uh, something like that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
had. You know what? I was shooting for Litecoin at $30.
Yeah, and that's really our nut low because that
$30.
corresponds with our top off here of our May, and then our retest, which was this really nasty wick here, which got bought up, that bottom right at $32. So yeah, 32 to 35, a lot of history that says that's strong support now.
Got it. All right, go back to your Ethereum chart real quick. I
Mhm.
just want to kind of get an idea of. So on my fib, on my 88, I got $168.
Yeah, we're
I'm a
about $10
little,
off.
yeah, about $10
Yeah,
off. Okay.
look at down
I'm
there.
just looking for support there. I'm looking for support. Unfortunately, I'm on Binance, so I
Let
unfortunately
me
my
let me pull up
support
some of my.
sucks.
Let's see here.
So I see support at 170 to 100 and I would say right there 170. Yeah, right in the 170 range.
Oh, let me see. Let me see where we are in our Bollingers here. Yeah, we're right at our lower BB. That's what's holding us up right now. We haven't broken through yet. So if we actually do break through and pretty viciously quickly, I would feel a very good buying opportunity, at least
Bullish,
a
yeah.
nice scalp, because that's way oversold based on how wide our BBs are and the fact that we haven't broken through yet. We saw an example
There
on
goes
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin. Bitcoin is going.
Oh shit! Oh yeah, there it is. Pull it up.
Bitcoin is falling out right now a little bit.
Let's get in. Let's go to our. Come on. Oh, there we go. Let's get rid of our. Okay, so now we're getting close to that inverse head and shoulder failure potential here. Either we're getting a very weird looking right shoulder, or we're about to break through. Again, a break would be right around 6,000. If we break that, then our inverse head and shoulder is invalidated. Let's see let's get closer really and see what kind of volume we got going on here.
Whoosh. Jesus.
Whoa.
Is it a 5 minute? You know what I love? I love when people post those 5 minute charts. They're like, look at Bitcoin. I swear to God, I almost die on Twitter. Like, I see that, I haven't been on my charts. And then all of a sudden somebody posts this long 5 minute wick. And I literally, I wake up, I'm like in a panic to get to my charts. And I'm like, don't post, don't post 5 minute charts.
And we've seen those
5 minutes. It's like $70.
those stop loss hunter wicks.
Yes, yeah.
We've seen those continuously over the past several days. So yeah, but I want to watch though with this 5 minute here. We get 2 minutes left. I want to see how much of this is actually bought up. I want to see just kind of wick here because this is really scary here.
Man, I'm telling you, this kind of broke. It's right on my break. I'm telling you, this kind of broke my area.
Now let's see what oversold now looks like on like an RSI standpoint, because
it's not that bad on the 12.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad yet. We're not even on the lower where we could really get very low on our still because the 30-minute has room to go down.
See, I broke my inverse head and shoulders line.
Yeah, I'm not liking this anymore at all.
Yeah, I broke my inverse head and shoulders line. Yeah, it's gone.
We're getting, and again, 15-minute short-term oversold would basically level out and dump even more. We're not even there yet. We're still, if you're over the 30 still on the hourly, we just broke it actually right there. So we know what an oversold hourly can bring us all the way down to 20 or even to 17. We're 26 still. Mm-hmm. So from an even short-term hourly, we had a ways to go potentially. Our 4 hours still at 34. We were at 20 a couple days ago. So a break of this support here will be interesting. Oh yeah, I've also been noticing this RSI on the 4 hour here. We're right there again, kind of. Actually, we're probably breaking it right now. So that's not good. And then just our daily here once again. Yeah, I mean, our daily has room to fall. And you were talking about that bearish divergence that you saw in the MACD just on a daily standpoint here. We're just still falling. And we know what really bearish can look like. We just don't have it yet.
Yeah. All right. Let's. I'm gonna. Hold on a second. I just wanted to make this really quick.
Sure. Sure, check it. Wow. So let me just go back to Litecoin real quick.
Yeah, go for it, man. It's still on your chart.
52 did not hold. So we got, see, I'm trying to see like what now the market selling oversold looks like. And, we've been seeing it with our RSI, and especially our stochastics, where it's not giving us anything anymore. It's not getting us the data that we used to get in a healthier, more bullish market right now. We're really seeing the extreme, especially on the stochastic side, of what a dead stick can be like. This move in Litecoin, and I didn't fib this on the way down, so let's just do a quick one here, and this could give us a sense of how far we could retrace and see if it's similar to that 236 here. So that would put, interesting, so a similar retrace to what Bitcoin may have done and what Ethereum is racing towards would put Litecoin at $43, which is the 3.236 fib level extension of our wave one down there, which is interesting because that would kind of correspond to where Bitcoin tapped out, but only for a couple days here, because now we're breaking through. Let's see. Oh, let me, I wanted to bring up, if I may, if you'll indulge me, my GAN fan from a couple days ago. And this is something that I've been following because I noticed that when we bottomed back at the end of June and when we topped in July, it was exactly 30 days. And I wanted to do kind of a GAN square, which would show what a full 60-day cycle would look like. Just because I didn't really feel that 60 days, that 30-day touch was a coincidence. And what I noticed was when we topped off here, we've been riding this kind of area here, this vector of support and resistance. When we broke out too much, we came back in, broke out too much, came back in, and we were finding this resistance line here as major resistance the past 2 days. Now we're floating here with only our next support literally back down to where we started again at $5,800. And a full 60-day cycle would basically take us to August 24th there. So we still got like another week and a half to go to maybe get down there. But I don't know. I mean, this has basically shown us that we're just seeing all these resistance areas above hold and continue to hold. And this is scary because we're seeing the bloodletting in the alts is accelerating. Jesus. And we saw them go down steeper when Bitcoin's move happened. Oh yeah, I thought about this chart I brought up earlier. Just a quick representation here about what kind of bounces Bitcoin has given the market when it actually does bounce. We had a 57% bounce here, a 45% bounce, an almost 100% bounce here when we load out in February there. A little small one here, 25%. And then our last two were 55% and a respectable 47%. So wherever we do find a bottoming here of some sort and some sort of a next bullish hump where we've had 1, 2, 3, our fourth one, to argue, would probably be lower than this one here. So any kind of a bullish move, you have to keep these areas in perspective where we're putting in lower percentage bull moves. Our next one could be a lot lower than 47 if we even get something like that. Our previous one here was created by a V bottom. This one here was a fulcrum bottom. This one here was our inverse head and shoulders bottom. What form will this move be? We're kind of due for a V bottom, so it's kind of what I'm looking for.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm just adjusting one of my charts right now also. Hold on a second.
And if you're trying to catch a knife in this market here, yeah, there'll be flips, especially if you're able to catch one. Take profit. You know, there's nothing that says a lot of this is kind of be the bottom. You know, we just broke this major support, but this support, channel I've been following here for days because the next tap I was fearing was not going to hold, and sure enough, we've broken it. Now, if we close below it on the 1 hour, which is in 5 minutes, I would then use this green line as resistance and no longer as a support line. So any kind of back tests we do bullishly would now mean this line can be resistance no matter where it hits along the way.
Yeah, and that's pretty deep right there. That kind of invalidates the inverse head and shoulders.
Yeah, I would say so. I would
I
say
mean,
so,
that's
unless you got.
so deep. I mean, it's if it closes, it's going to close almost lower than the low of the. You know what I'm saying? How
Yeah,
much? How
yeah.
much? It's got how many? 4 minutes left.
4 minutes in this hourly. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's about to close and open lower than the head.
yeah. And none of this is being bought up here. This wick is terrible. So if
Yeah.
we saw a hammer here, I'd have. But right now, the next 5 minutes, this is all sell volume with not a lot of knife catching yet.
Yeah, there's just nothing. All right, so I'm gonna bring us back over to. Just want to kind of finish out this ETC chart. So we did come down. We are finding support down here at $4 and change. EOS, I'm sorry, EOS. So we are finding support down here, and I did make a little shot. I took a shot at Phil today. I was being funny. I was being silly, Phil, because I know he was long, and a couple other people are TA people have been long on EOS, but. Man, and I love EOS, guys. I love trading EOS because of the amazing swings on it. There's nothing wrong with trading EOS for all the swings and the money you can make on it. But, you know, you've also got to be really careful because if you play that swing in the wrong direction, especially for super large positions like Phil likes to play, and God bless the guy, he's an amazing scalper, one of the best in the world, in fact. But, you know, you can get your hand caught in the cookie jar, and, you know, when you're playing those big positions, they can go real ugly real fast. All right, so let's all just just remember that this is kind of why we were talking today about laddering in and laddering out of positions. We had one of our guys who got into a long. He set his stop loss and he forgot to hit confirm on his stop loss. So he set his stop loss but failed to actually set his stop loss. And I said, hey, this is we kind of had to walk him through ladder out. So we had him kind of start to ladder out of his position. And set a stop loss and reset his stop loss in case this happened. This is one of those reasons you guys really have to be monitoring those stop losses because you get wicks like this, which now is clearly $50 above, well, $44 above 6K, which now completely invalidates a Head and Shoulders.
Yeah, we're not getting anything out of this candle.
So this is like in Thailand where you get two heads. Anyways, back to back to the G-rated show. So sorry, but anyways, this is this pretty much invalidates a Head and Shoulders here. This could come down. I will listen. Let me finish up this EOS chart, and I'm going to jump over to my bubble charts. I know people want to see the bubble charts and where the action is. All right, let's bring this over. Sorry. All right, let's see how bad this is. All right, so number one, let's take a look at, here we are, and these danger zones that I talked about and what happens when you fold over in these danger zones and how accurate these damn bubble charts are. Okay, here you go. Look at this. This baby's trying to fold over on us inside these danger zones, right? And we showed you earlier, anytime you fall over in one of these danger zones right here, these drops are detrimental. These aren't just drops, these are massive rejections. And it can just move a very small ways sideways, and you get a pretty substantial drop there. So there is that chart right there. Now let's go over and take a look at the bubble chart. So this is our RSI bubble chart. Now we have a long way we can go down here, right? There's a long way to go down here before we're going to get a bounce, all right? So we're nowhere near where you could potentially fall. Now, I don't think we're going to go all the way down here. I think we're going to come down here. We're going to find some area. We're going to come down here somewhere, right? And we're going to bounce down here. I don't think we're going to go all the way down to test lower down here. I don't think so. I think we're going to come down here. We're going to double test this one of these low areas, and like we talked about on the RSI, remember how we talked about on the RSI how it likes to do that double touch, right? So we'll go over to our daily, right? So here's our daily look, and we talked about this. This is not oversold on our daily. right? We are not oversold. We're not even close to being oversold. You really got to get down here till you can start talking about being oversold. And we're not oversold. We need to come back down here on the daily. We also talked about this on the Stochs chart, right? So let me go find that chart. Where are you? And there it is. So remember, we talked about that pattern that we see play out. Oh, there it is. See? There you go. We just talked about this, and there it is. Right? So we talked about how this likes to pull down here, double test this, then we get our bounce out. Now, we need to be watching this because, once again, these lines don't leave a wick shadow like a regular price action does. Anytime you use another indicator, they often don't leave a price shadow like a wick. So this can pull all the way back up here and then continue to drop farther, and the price action won't. The price action will just keep going. So you can get a big pullback here, and then it'll just kind of keep cranking out. Now this is very dangerous because, you know, when you look at these things, how many times these like to keep doing this. So here you go. Look at this. A higher, so a higher one, a higher one, a higher one, and then a baby one. So now we can expect probably one more small up and down here from this before we could possibly get out of this, because look at these rejections. Up, down, higher, then a down, second low. Head, shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder, and then out of them. You know, that's kind of what these double touches are, and they get pulled out. So let's really keep an eye on this. I want to pull up the price action on this. So all bad, all bad. There's nothing good here about any of this. This is all very bullish down here. All of this is, very bearish down here. And if this does continue to fall, we are looking at a possible to come down here and test my areas. Now, this can't keep falling here. It's just not possible because, you know, this just doesn't fall much lower than it is right now. But it will bounce back up and then carry us down one more time. And at this point, oh yeah, we're at 6K. We've completely invalidated a head and shoulders, so that can be clearly taken off now. And here's your high test of the line, so you can follow. If you guys want to put this channel on your BTC, you guys can put this channel. This will show you when this does break out. So when it does break out of this channel, you guys can know you can open up a long on this. But you also now have a good understanding of how deep this could go. Now this could drop down a little more, test the 57, give us a bounce back up, and maybe out of this channel, and then for a second retest down. Let's kind of hold on, and I think, and I'm gonna dare to draw an arrow on here.
We're about to flush. Here it comes. Oh, it's so close. Here it goes. Oh, geez.
What's it doing? What's it doing? What happened?
I'm watching the Coinbase L2, the order book. I'm just seeing right now there's 250 BTC at 6,000, and I'm just seeing large blocks just get dumped. This is our first flush of 6K, but remember, it's not as crazy a moment because we did test 57.50 or so back in June. So there's still another $300 of kind of play around before it really gets unprecedented.
Yeah.
And that's where we're not there yet.
Yeah. So I feel that we're going to come down here and test this line down here, this 5,700 area, and then get a bounce out of here. And I could be wrong. I was wrong on how far I thought this thing was going to go up. I gave it a little more love.
Boom, there it is. There's the flush.
What happened?
Whenever you break the big number,
the 6K.
There's the flush. So yeah, there it goes. And this really makes the more time you spend in a certain price.
Hold on,
zone,
Sean. I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna go grab my iPad. Sure. I'm gonna go take a look at my my trade. I'm in a short trade. So,
go for it. All
right, hold on. So you got it. Okay, give me a second. I gotta grab my
absolutely.
iPad.
So I was saying, we're looking for a retest of our June lows now because we have just broken one more time 6,000. Now we might flirt above. We might get back over 6K in the next few minutes, next few hours, kind of play around with that number there. But because we were able to because we were unable to hold this area here, that has held kind of at the support zone here. We're talking about these areas here. Now, we did find support back in the end of June, literally to the dollar, about 57.78. That's another $200 from where we are currently here. So that gives us our current play of our next area, which we will touch because it was support once. And whenever a major support holds and double tapped it here, we actually hit it twice here to confirm, and that brought us our nice bull move. I expect at least some initial support if and probably when tested once again. We're getting a little oversold on lower time frame indicators. So any kind of a small bounce we get is because of that kind of a reset. This is nasty bear volume here. None of this is being bought up. These are large amounts of Bitcoin changing hands here. Remember, with every seller, there is a buyer. So there is a buyer buying up all this and kind of buying it up all the way down here. So we'll see how this goes. But right now, there's nothing that suggests that this is ending. This bearish dump is ending anytime soon until we start seeing some bottom wicks starting on some lower time frame indicators and then moving higher. We're now finding resistance again with our MAs and our EMAs, especially on lower time frames. And that's going to continue because we basically just confirmed all these bear crosses that either haven't played out or are now going to play out because of this new dip in the price action.
All right, so I'm going to actually post on Twitter really quick here. I'm going to throw a post up of my my short trade. So here's the bad news. I had a 50% I had a 50% positive trade, a short trade on BTC with 20,000. I dumped half of it down there I dumped half of the trade at $6,100. I then picked it back up at $6,400. I'm going to share that trade with you guys now. You'll see I added another $10,000 onto it. I had two more layers of 10,000, one more stacked above higher, and then I had a big chunk. I was going to do a much larger chunk above much higher, and didn't hit any of those targets, so I am a little bit sad face right now. But I'm going to show, I'm going to share this on Twitter, and I'll bring this up. Give me 1 second. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, I'm just going to take a peek here at some of my old fib levels and see if I can see, what might be our next area of support here. Just curious to see 58.45. Again, there's plenty of precedence to assume another $150 drop until we touch that 57.50, 57.70 area. And remember, once we break that puts our low in for the year for 2018, because we put in our February lows are around 59 or 5,800, depending upon which exchange you are on, and then our June lows are 57.50 there. So if we break that, then we're now basically getting into uncharted bearish territory for 2018.
All right, here we go.
And I just wanted to see.
All right, so I'm going to bring people up. So let's take a look at my two trades I had going. So here was my trade where I took off. I'd actually taken off at 61, 6,200 area. I took off 20,000. You see, I was up 50% positive on that trade. Then I actually added... you see here I added an additional 10,000 onto my position. I did this at like 6,400. So you see it there, the price difference. Look, you see where I initially got into this short trade is $7,400. So I've been sitting in this short from 7,400. I took out half the profit. It bounced. I caught part of the bounce. I was expecting this to go higher. You can see that I am now back up. I doubled my position. I'm at 44% right now, and we are at $5,900 and with a possibility to go lower. Now, unfortunately, because I was on here, I wasn't able to add on to my trade. So I should have been adding on to my trade as we were going along, but another pretty good win. You know what I'm saying? Another good win. It'll at least buy a really nice dinner for me and the boss tomorrow. The wife, it is her birthday, so I will be taking the boss out for dinner tomorrow.
Oh, lovely.
That's wonderful. Yeah, the boss and me. So, all right, let's see. Let's get back over here. We're getting a little bounce finally. All right. Yeah, so I still don't see us in any oversold territory except for the lower time frames. Correct? I got you on there, Chone. It's all you.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see anything oversold yet on except for the 15, maybe the 30. So I'm cool with saying that lower we can go, and I'm also want to reiterate if let me get back to
I just want to know how many
here.
large circles
Um, if we just basically have started our wave five down, and we've started a wave five down based on our wave three, and this was kind of our four here. If we can use our wave three as being the longest of our structure here, and we're shooting for an extension of what wave three was based on this new wave five, where are kind of our fib levels we can target? And these kind of represent, areas going down through the 5,000s of support. And then our kind of golden area here at the 786 is around 47.74, which again corresponds with Vamp's area of his like super nut low scoop up on this particular move, and would still keep us under a 1-to-1 ratio of the length of wave three. So something basically 4,700 at the low to a more bullish bounce here. I think we'll find support here if we get there, because again, that's right after we had broken our 2018 low in June. A little scare in the market, a little bounce there, and again. But everything is pointing to a test of our lower 5,000s area. Remember, if you're trying to scoop up, if your trade is you want to scoop up the blood on 5,000, don't set your trade right at 5,000. We talk a lot about
Mm.
scaling in and layering your trades there. So start at a lower price point in the 5150 area, and then the lower the price goes, you can kind of slowly increase your buy in there. So if you do catch the bottom, at least your average is spaced out accordingly to get you the maximized profit on any kind of a bounce there. And again, it depends how we get down there. A quicker, more volatile bounce can induce a bigger V bottom liftoff. Some more of this kind of sideways price action crap that we've been dealing with for months, it seems, would not bring us that kind of slingshot we would look for. But the panic and the fear kind of in the market right now, I'm still looking for something crazy, some crazy, really quick, several $100 sell off with a couple bounces to confirm a bottom. And that's where on a lower time frame, you'll be watching for some tweezer wicks to form out to kind of confirm your bottom there. But I'd only look for something like that on a really volatile dump, something which I remember watching in this move back in February, where we just cratered incredibly fast, had a couple volatile bounces before we actually shot up. And then it happened quickly. And I could be assuming that something else like that could happen here only if we fall really fast. And the way this is setting up is for another retest here. Probably going to hold it at first, and then a second tap would probably break. And then we're talking about all our areas down here. And this goes to show, again, what a normal unwind of a parabolic move in the price of Bitcoin, which we did have, is happening. We've seen this in the stock charts. We've seen this in just history of any kind of a move like this. The Nasdaq popping, housing market popping. It does this. It does this. It waddles around for a certain time, and that certain time can be anywhere between 8 to 10 months to potentially 2 to 3 years. There's precedent for both, but at some point the market just decides that okay, we're done being in a bear market, and we start to set in higher lows and start to put in higher highs and build up a whole new trend. A lot of our moves here in Bitcoin seem to be news driven. So any bullish news, very helpful, and any bearish news seems to be hit twice as hard. You start crossing stuff off as things just become invalidated. Mm. Hey, Vamp, I think you're on mute. I think you're on mute.
Crap. All right, there we go. Sorry. Thank God you're here. All right. So, anyways, I was saying one of the things I was talking about is how upset I am that I didn't take this additional. We did this live. We called out this death cross live right here. This death cross on the 4 hour completely fell out. Now, what happened was while this dragged this down, you've also got this death cross that got sucked in prematurely on the 2 day. So you've got this 10 and the 20 crossing. Now this is a death cross that I do play. This is an actual death cross, not a bear cross. So you've got a double death cross on the 2 day chart right now with movement to go down. Now, your support is still down here. We're getting close to our support line right here. Our support lines, I got 5,700 range right here for support. And I am expecting to get a bounce here. I am really expecting to get some kind of a bounce that happens here. And Chone is bringing up something that a lot of people are not going to want to see. Let's bring over the market cap. Go ahead and talk about the market cap, buddy.
Yeah, so Bitcoin dominance 54. I mean, wow, we bottomed at the tippy top of the previous altcoin run at around 36%. So Bitcoin flexing, market cap broke 200 billion. We're now under 200 billion. 1,833 cryptos currently trading on 12,000 marketplaces. This number continues to increase even in this market here. Looking at Bitcoin's previous daily history there, we wanted to see bullish volume come in. This is bearish volume, and now we're once again getting close to that $100 billion market cap. We're under 103 billion now. Now we did bottom right back and held support the last time we had touched around $100 billion. A second tap is probably not going to hold, at least maybe initially it will, but we're going sub 100 billion market cap on Bitcoin. First time in 2018 we've been doing that. First time in a while we've been doing that. And our volume at 4 billion and 4 billion, this is neither capitulation volume nor like scoop up cheap Bitcoin volume. We had seen the volume decline and get really light on our previous bounces where the sell volume had kind of dried up. I see this as neither bullish nor bearish, just kind of still stuck in this $4 to $5 billion range here. But because we're consistently in the same range with lower Bitcoin prices, you could argue this is just more a sign of sell volume, and a failure to hold 100 billion makes, I believe, 100 billion, you can look at it as almost a new resistance layer. Same with the market cap of 200 billion, where that was a very strong support the last time we actually came close to touching it and allowed us to bounce to 300 billion. We have given up $100 billion in market cap in the past 20 days in crypto. That's some serious cheddar there. So, the money's flowing out. The money's flowing out of alts. For a while, it was flowing out of alts and flowing into Bitcoin. Now it's just flowing out of alts, flowing out of Bitcoin into Tether, I guess, into fiat, or people are just holding through the blood and planning a dollar cost or a scoop up or something at a lower price. And in terms of their alt bags, if you thought you had held through the blood and, I've held so long, how could it be worse or whatever? Just take half off of what your current portfolio is if you still want to hold Tron and Verge and all the rest. I'm not saying that you can't add to what you have here. My friend Tom actually was talking to me today, and he had rode Litecoin up to a decent chunk, and he's held it all the way down. And he's like, "Should I just sell now?" I'm like, "Dude, you should have had this conversation with yourself a month ago. You had a chance to take out decent money at the time, even though you weren't near what it had been. And you're asking me now if you should sell." This point here, it's a determination where if it's so low as it is, are you willing to expect another potentially 30 or 40% haircut on that price? People need to understand how low these assets can really go, because Bitcoin can go lower.
Yeah, and I just let me breeze through really quick. I'm just going to kind of breeze through the alts real quick and kind of what's happening. So we did break the wedge here on ETC. So ETC did break the wedge. It did break the 786 line. It is coming down, is looking for support on to tap on my $9.90 line. So if you are in ETC, be careful. We do have some lower lines for ETC down there. Ethereum, look at how perfectly this came down and played out onto our target. So this perfectly hit our target. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything more. You saw this live. You've seen the 247 target I had came down, hit my 247 target. Absolutely perfect, right? So now, will this hold? Yeah. So no, if this breaks, I got 231 is my next. So we're going to call this 33 ETH to 247. Okay, so if you're watching ETH and this thing does this, now we are getting a little bit of a bounce. We are getting some reaction. This kind of bounced perfectly off of this line. If this does rally and give us another drop down, you got 233, but this could easily fall out here. Sub 200s pretty deep, pretty damn quickly. So let's be real careful watching these targets. So look, there it was again, came down perfect, tapped my target. This is on my lower time frame. 195 is what I'd be looking for low, and super low you get down here into the super ugly. Let's take a look at Litecoin. Litecoin is holding. Litecoin's actually holding a lot stronger. Litecoin did hold the our trend line. It's trying to hold the trend line. EOS came down, looked perfect on our support line. Tapped our support line, bounced up a little bit. Let's see how this works out. And then last but not least, Tron. So here are my Tron targets. We are unfreaking believably into 1.6 cents for Tron. Unbelievably. 1.6 cents for Tron. 1.7 cents. I mean, this has got to be some kind of a new low. Look at this. There's just nothing. There's just nothing. We broke. Here it was. I said, this is my last support. This broke my last support. There's my target right there. My target looks completely attainable at this point. Right? My target looks completely attainable very easily. So we're going to go to, golly. Boy, I'm telling you, just unbelievable how low. This is a new record, right? A record low for Tron. And I do love Tron. And I personally will be looking to possibly scoop up a little bit as this comes down here, especially like a 1 cent Tron. Now, I know there's a gazillion. The reason why I like to play Tron, because there's lots of Chinese whales that do hold Tron, and they love to play games. They love to play the pump and dump game with, 100 million tokens or whatever they're holding. Right now, those guys are crying in their tea right now. They're probably getting hammered and going out to a karaoke bar because they probably just lost a couple $1,000,000, right? I can't even tell you the market cap on Tron. Can you see that? Can you pull up the market cap on Tron and see how far it's dropped? I bet you the market cap on Tron is probably completely tanked out. Let's see where you got it. What do you got?
1.1 billion.
That's where it's at right now. 1.1 billion.
That's where it's at right now. 1.1 billion. And this was 1.145. Yeah, and then I remember when it was was it 30 billion, 25, 30 billion one time?
Damn.
Just epic. And you're right. This And it's a shame too, because the Tron and if you've never heard of the term pump and dump, like this is it. This was it. This was Tron. And if you think about, it's almost funny here, while you have a similar kind of play out with Bitcoin here, this is the yearly kind of price action in terms of where volume is here. And you see a very similar situation here where you have your parabola, you have your steep pullback, a couple kind of failed bullish moves here, and then kind of a reset again, setting new lows. And looking here, I just want to go back to the coin market cap. Looking at our top 10 here, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple is 3, Bitcoin Cash 4, EOS is 5, Stellar 6, Litecoin, Tether, Cardano, and Monero rounding out top 10 at $81. Monero was a couple $100 a few weeks ago. Don't be surprised to see a significantly lower Monero. I don't care how high it was. You see how much IOTA crashed. And Dash was another one of those very high price USD coins, around $700. I remember even more. This will go sub $100. And then same with all these other ones here. So our higher price coins, like we saw just with Litecoin, how once $100 broke, we just cut that in half, and we were not that far away from where $100 brought us. And we're seeing, as I mentioned this earlier, we were kind of retest 6,000. Once we broke it, kind of a little bounce there. We saw kind of a slight oversoldness on a couple low-term indicators. But what Van pointed out was, you don't know what oversold is, and we're not even seeing that on a lot of our upper indicators. The market can do a tendency to pause out and allow a lot of these indicators to reset and get back up to a more healthier area before dropping again. And it knows that. It knows that the hourly RSI cannot get lower than history, and history can bring it down to 17. We're only at 22 still. So even on the 1 hour, which isn't that long of a time frame, we're still showing we have a lot more we can fall before oversold is really reached. We see now, again, this little bounce here, $100 bounce, has brought us out of the depth here of our 15-minute RSI, which was at 11, which is getting into that area there where historically you do find that bounce. So this can allow a little bit of a price reset. Doesn't necessarily mean the price is stabilized. And right now, God, this is Tuesday. So here's what's going to happen the rest of the week. We're only a few days in. We have basically 6 days to go. At some point in this week, the week will set a weekly low. And you just don't know when that will happen. It could happen midweek. It could have already happened. I don't think it has. So at some point, we will get to a point where we will hit a low and then basically find the rest of the week trying to kind of defend that and put some kind of a bullish wick on this weekly candle. Remember, I talked about earlier in the show how we've already in this weekly candle put our upper wick in. I wasn't going to see a super bearish situation where we basically hit our top of the week the moment we came there. So we already have our upper wick set in our weekly, and that could basically give a scenario where we could just go lower from here, and we've already seen as high as we can get this week. Volume just starting to get going here.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to bring up one chart real quick. I'm going to flip over to, you mentioned IOTA. We had one of the members who was holding a bag of IOTA. This is when we were up here. He said, what should we do? I said, run and liquidate your bags. And here you go. This is the daily, this is the weekly chart here, right? So this doesn't look as bad on the weekly chart, but boy, when you bring this up on the daily chart, you can see how bad this is. Look, we are nearing the final support layer here for IOTA. If you are holding IOTA, you need to be careful. If this is going to end up like Tron, where once Tron did break that final support, really you're just playing the fibs here. There's no historical support whatsoever. You're 100% reliant on fib ratios on where and how deep this can go, and that is not where you want to be playing this game. Here on Tron, you see you do have this death cross that played out. So the 2-day chart has this bear cross. Then the daily had another bear cross, and there's nothing to hold this up. The only thing that can save this right now to bring anything back into this particular marketplace is hope. I mean, there's nothing that's changed.
Yeah.
Nothing is changing. So let's do this, guys. We've been on for a long time now, 2.5 hours. Okay, how time flies when you're having fun. All right, I still got to adjust a bunch of charts. I really haven't been able to adjust my charts for all the members. It's going to take me a couple hours to do that. We will take 1 or 2 questions though, okay, and then we're going to get off. Yeah, if we can only stay on for 24 hours a day, I do. For the members, I do. I'm on 24/7, it feels like. Sawblood says I can only think of the movie The Titanic where they start filling with water, doors start bursting. Yeah, so we could definitely play something. We definitely get a Titanic style, some music on with a little parlor music. Yeah, 150 people watching for 2.5 hours. Unbelievable. Listen, we have 81 likes on there, everybody. Please give us a thumbs up on the chart. Go to our, go to our Twitter pages. Give us some love. Throw out an FF for us. We work hard. We come on here. We do this for you guys. We do this, you got to remember, too, I do this 24/7 for my members. I am going to go ahead and I'm going to shill for just a second here. So I am going to shill Mr. Chonas. So let me find this. All right. So there he for just a second here. So I am going to shill Mr. Chonas. So pause. Sorry, hit my thing. So if you guys get a chance, go out there. Find the Chone. Look at this guy. He puts up so much great content. He puts up all these great free videos all day long. Look at how much interaction you got, buddy. Wow. Great job. You're beating me. You're beating me. It's because I have members now. I do so much of my stuff in the membership area. I really don't have the chance to get out here on Twitter as much because I'm so deep. I'm just buried deep in the members area, updating that 24/7. But look at all the amazing stuff that you get from being out here on Chone. He just has such amazing content. Please, if you haven't, go give the guy a like, give the guy a follow. Okay, that's just one of the things I would also like to add that we do have. Where is it at? Let me go back to me. Real quick here. And we did have a thing that here it is. So we do have a new crypto campus thing that came out. So we're trying to figure out when exactly to have the crypto campus. A lot of people, because it's kind of really tight timeline, a lot of people are actually asking us to move it to April and May. So we are taking, we want you guys to go on here. Just get on here. Please give us some kind of a comment that says when you would like to see it. One thing we did do is this is the hotel we found in Porto. Now, our biggest challenge was we wanted to have this 24 hours a day. Look at how gorgeous this hotel is. Absolutely gorgeous. 5-star hotel. You eat 2 times a day, so it's got 2 meals a day. Really, really good stuff. Gorgeous place. The restaurant, the food, everything is top notch. One of the things is we're trying to figure out. So we've lowered because of the new hotel. We hired a company it's a big company, and what they do is they do event planning. This big event planning company went out there and found this better hotel for us for a better deal. If we really need people's inputs on what works best for you, what timeline works best for you, that's super important to us, okay? So if you can reach out, just go on my Twitter page. Look, I have like a gazillion comments. I got to go through them all. But here you kind of see when people are looking at coming. We had 186 total votes. A lot of people are saying April and May. So we really need to know when you guys think this would be the best time to come out. So come on over to my page, leave a comment, click on a time when you think this would work best for you. Now, without the hotel, it's $3,500. Now, let me tell you, this is 24 hours a day for 6 days, 7 nights. So this isn't a regular convention. This is an actual hardcore buckle down, 1 full week of nonstop, 24 hours a day. We're gonna have we'll have the conference area 24 hours a day. We'll have the meeting rooms 24 hours a day. We'll have computers set up down there, computer stations. We'll have everything that you guys need. We're gonna do all kinds of live trading, teach you guys everything that we know. It'll be a lot of fun. But if you get a chance, come over, leave a comment, leave a selection on when you would like to think you can make it out. Now, if this first one is successful, we will then do a second one in Thailand. Okay, so we're looking at Thailand as the second option for the second cryptocurrency campus. And then the problem with doing it in Vegas, and a lot of people are asking for it to be done in America, is in Las Vegas, everything is union in the hotels. So I got to tell you what, I got some prices. It's literally $150 to put in one outlet, one damn outlet, right? Which has been put in a million times. The cost of getting the conference centers for 24 hours a day is insane. I mean, it's insane. And I just don't feel it's fair passing on that much money to you guys to have to pay for to us to be in a conference center. It's literally would be cheaper. You guys could pay for a flight to Thailand. And that's all you'd have to pay for is the flight, the hotel, and the food, and everything else would be included. And it would be like a flight out to Thailand from America is like it's like, I don't know, $1,400, right? I mean, if we did the conference in Nevada right now, it would cost an extra $3,000. So it would be a $1,500 savings for people to fly to Thailand. Now you will be in Thailand, and there's a lot of benefits to being in Thailand. You know, the food, the experience, everything is amazing. So we're looking at setting up the second one in Thailand after we do the Porto one. But we need some feedback from everybody. Please go out there. That's it for me, and I want to say thank you. Chon, go ahead, brother.
Thanks, fam.
Au revoir.
No, I appreciate it. It was great. I hope everybody learned something. Thank you guys so much in the chat room, especially those that stuck around the entire time. I'm extremely humbled by your support. I just want to quickly mention my mentoring program is still available in August. It's going great. I'm completely booked this week. I have a couple more spots open for next week. So if you have any interest in that, it's just me and you one-on-one on Skype. You see my screen, and we talk about basically your specific situation in crypto and maybe where I can help in terms of giving you guidance, clarity, and some sort of a direction in a plan that you can create based on your individual specific needs. So any more questions about that, guys, please feel free to email me, bigchonis@gmail.com, or send me a Twitter DM if you have any questions on that. And once again, Bam, thank you so much for having me. And stay safe out there, guys, because this is not the bounce. This is not the bottom yet.
Yeah. So listen, everybody, thank you so much from me, Chris at Until 1 Mil. We've got me, KK. We got, so many great team members over at Until 1 Mil, really working our butts off for you guys. Listen, you guys, give Jonas a call if you guys need some really, really good trading setups and to help you learn to be a better trader. Give Jonas a call. Also, I have to stress to you that learning over Skype and watching our videos you don't even get I say you take away 10% of what's being given to you out of the experience. That's why the Crypto Campus is so important, because when you're there, when you're with us, when it's in your face and we're doing it with you, standing there with you, and you're standing over us and we're drawing the lines on the chart with you, and you take away so much more. That's why we want the Crypto Campus, because I can't tell you the stories right now. I can't even show you how many messages I have of people who are absolutely just destroyed. I mean, people are just wrecked right now, and that sucks. You know what I'm saying? It sucks for us to go out there and have to talk to people who are just absolutely destroyed, okay? And we don't want you guys to get wrecked. We want you guys to be, we want you guys to be out there making the money with us, trading safely with us, all right? So that's it. I wish I had more to say, but please, we'll be back tomorrow. And hey, Bernard, man, I wish I could hold everybody's hand, okay? I really wish I could. But unfortunately, I don't like jumping off cliffs with other people, so and I feel like we're cliff diving right now. So hopefully we're going to get a bounce here soon, and let's see what we get here. All right, let's see what kind of bounce we get over here. I will be running my stream. This stream will be running still. so you guys will be able to keep the stream up and going. I will be adjusting it. You guys are going to have to give me a little time to get this thing adjusted. So you see all my spots. I mean, guys, I wish I had a lot more. This is a very, very dangerous time if you're planning on going long or scooping up bags right now. Please be careful. Be careful in your trading, and be careful of people you're following, okay? That's most important. Be very, very careful in the people that you guys are following right now in Twitter, the TA people, okay? A lot of people are out there. They're really good trading people, and they're getting wrecked also, okay? So don't become a victim with them, all right? So from me at Vamp and the Big Chone, we are out.